Okay, welcome back to the channel. I have a cool one for you today. It took a while to do, but today you're gonna learn how to do something like this.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
A few weeks ago, I found this cool whiskey bottle made by the Saxon folks. It's very cool, all the texture, all the shapes. So immediately I said to myself, I have to buy that bottle, do a whiskey spec ad, and then drink the actual whiskey. This tutorial is going to be very easy to follow. I use only one light and then in some shots an additional light. But in this one, what makes the difference is that the same setup, you'll be able to use it to do stills photos and a video. So the same lighting we're going to be using to do stills and video. So I think this is very cool because you can offer this as a package to your clients. Most of the times they hire a video guy to do video or a photographer to do photos. What if with this setup you could create a cool video and cool stills photos? All you're gonna need is to have a tripod for the stills camera. Because you won't be able to take them handheld, you will need to take them with a tripod because the light we're using to do the video side of the spec tutorial won't be as powerful as a strobe. So you won't be able to shoot with fast shutter speeds. You will have to shoot with longer shutter speed. So you need a remote trigger and a tripod to do the photography side of this tutorial. But that's it. It's very simple and let's just jump into that. So in this shot, I'm going to actually try and see if the green screen works with the bottle. Given that the bottle has tons of reflection, it might be a bit tricky to pull it off with the bottle. I know I can do it with like solid products that don't have that much reflection, but if I could replace the background with a click of a button, like something like a key light in After Effects, or the keying plugin in Premiere Pro, then that would give me a lot of flexibility when I'm actually creating the final video. So I'm gonna just give this a try and see what Premiere tells me, if this is possible to key the green without having too much issue with the reflections in the bottle, and then we'll take it from there. So the first thing I did was to import my clip into Premiere, look for Ultra Key effect, and then select the color of my key. So then I adjust the parameters of the Ultra Key. I can see in the corner that my background wasn't lit correctly, so I need to create a mask and crop that out. Then I go and select my LUT just to convert the log footage into Rec 709, and we have a problem. That was a total failure. I actually didn't really think this through, but you have to experiment with ideas to see what works, what doesn't work. In the past, I've worked with key, but in objects that don't reflect light. Because glass is such a reflective surface, the key actually touches the glass a lot. Another situation would be if I had a bigger space and I could separate my bottle or my subject from the background and light the background separately and light the bottle separately. So that way no reflections from the background will actually touch the bottle, and then when I'm doing my key it will be easier to have that key and without all the pollution from the color green on the reflective surface of the bottle. So we're just going to go and try the original idea, which is set up my backdrop in a black backdrop and continue doing my shots. So I I went ahead and tried a few different lighting setups. This setup is the one where I use the softbox just on the top, and although the light is nice and soft, I think there's a lot of lighting spill to the background, so I wanted to try something different. So the next lighting setup I tried, I put my LED light without the softbox, but because this LED light has multiple small LED light sources, you can actually see the light arrangements in the background. It might not be too noticeable, and the light is a bit harsher, so I didn't really like it, and it still has a little bit of light spill in the background, so that would not work. So the next one, I went ahead, and this LED light comes with a plastic diffuser that you can attach right next to the light bulbs. So that's the one I'm using here. The light is a bit softer, and you get rid of the lines that happen when you're using the LED without a diffuser on its own. Also, in this clip, I added the barn doors, but the barn doors were not enough, so I ended up adding a white cardboard, which I'll show you in the next clip. So I'm happy with this lighting setup, and then I went and added my wooden texture to see how this color will reflect in the bottle. So I was very happy with this, and I think it worked. The background is still very dark, and I'm happy with how the light it's wrapping around the bottle. And this is the setup I went with. So my main light or key light is overhead with the barn doors attached to it, and a diffuser that fits just in here. So that is bouncing light, and it generates soft light, but that doesn't bounce everywhere. And to prevent further light spill touching the background here, I actually added this white cardboard, which is like a foam kind of thing. So I attached this to the lights with a duct tape, with like gaffer tape or something like that. So the light wasn't actually touching the background. From where the camera angle is, you can't see the diffuser paper. And I have this LED light, which I use in some shots from the side to generate like a harsh side light, and this one was set to tungsten lighting. You can actually see here what the camera is looking at. In this shot, what I'm looking to create is a very clean shot, and it's just going to be my hand putting the bottle in the center of the frame. And I'm actually going to play back the shot in reverse, just so I can hit my marks in the shot now. I'll take the bottle away, and then I'll just reverse the shot, and it would appear as the bottle is being placed in the exact center of my frame. Why do I want the bottle in the exact center of my frame? Because I'm going to try to use this shot twice, and I'm going to try to use it in two different aspect ratios. So one for a 4x5 video that could go on Instagram, for example, as a standalone piece, and another one for the actual spec ad that we're creating today. So keeping everything centered and doing the shot in reverse will allow me to execute this idea efficiently. So I'm just gonna go ahead, record that, and take the bottle away. You know what I just realized? I'm wearing my sports watch. So I'm actually gonna change my watch and put a leathery one so it would match more with the brand that I'm going with this particular shot. I just finished capturing my first shot. So I'm gonna see how my positioning of the hand works, and if the new watch makes it look a bit cooler than the other one I had. What I wanna make sure is that the shot looks correct on the screen before I move on, because I just wanna try to work more efficiently and try to do less shots that don't work by checking the shots before I make a major move in the camera or the lighting setup. It took a while to get the lights correct, but I'm actually gonna keep it simple this time. It's gonna be a one light setup. Maybe I use a second light when I'm doing my close-ups, a harsh light, to get a bit of detail, and when I'm doing my rotation shots. So for my hero shot, I'm gonna keep a one light setup, just to prove a point that you don't have to have multiple light sources and crazy complicated lights to create a spec ad like this. Okay, I'm happy with that shot. I think it works. We're gonna move on now to do the close-ups. Again, I'm gonna keep the light consistent. I'm gonna now put my turntable inside and I'm just gonna work on close-up shots of the detail. As you can see, I went ahead and did a lot of close-up shots, and I'm trying again to work with the lines that the product has. In this case, a Sexton whiskey bottle has a lot of straight lines and it's like a pentagon shape, so it's very peculiar. And to play with that, I went ahead and did my close-ups in slanted, so the camera is actually never fully aligned with the horizon or a vertical line. It's actually crooked, and they're close-up. It's not too easy to notice this when you're very tied in, but the camera is actually crooked and in a deliberate way. And this, I think, will help me play with the structures that those lines that the product has. Also, my second light that I'm playing with, I'm actually balancing that to tungsten, and this will give me an orange glow or a kind of golden glow. And the reason I'm doing this is because this whiskey has a lot of detail, like copper colored detail. It actually is distilled in copper pots. So I want to play into that side of the branding that the product already has. I think it's a very cool bottle, so we should probably kind of highlight the fact that it's well designed, it's a well-made product. And the addition of that warm light in combination with the copper branding will highlight the fact that this single malt whiskey is produced in copper pots. So we just finished doing the stop motion. We're gonna try to check that in the computer and make sure it actually works before moving on. The way we did it was to leave the Ursa fixed position, then do the actual movement with our hands, and then when I'm editing, I'm just gonna edit the chips moving like a stop motion animation, and then hopefully that will look correct. And then there's a close-up where the queen, black queen, goes to do a checkmate to the white king. And the last shot with the king falling, I'm going to push it with my finger, and that's the only time you will see the hand in the frame. So let's see if that actually worked. That kind of worked. We're going to actually now move on and do our hero shot. Kelly is preparing the shot where we can see our hero and our glass. And that should be it. That's going to be the end shot of the whole commercial. Again, very simple. One light setup and then a second light on the table, which gives us a bit of kind of harsh side light, and it makes separation from the background. So we'll try that now and check it in the camera. So this shot is a bit complicated, but took a while to kind of try to center the cap from top down view in the shot and center it also in the rotating table. But once it's kind of okay, I don't need it to rotate 360 degrees. I just want to rotate at least kind of 90 degrees, so my logo is a kind of right side up. And then I need the smoke to be in the correct position. And once that happens, I'll just let it kind of record for a bit. Hopefully I'll have a beautiful shot. So the setup is literally my tripod, and I have again my two lights, one light coming from the right side and then the warm light coming from the left side. Very, very simple shot. But if it works, it's gonna look slick. So now I'm gonna do the same shot with the actual glass, and hopefully that looks beautiful from the top. I might actually pour some liquid in it. Let's see, might work, might not work. But you don't lose anything without trying. So if you try, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. If it does work, it pays off. Okay, so with the same setup that I had and the same lights, I actually got my DSLR, which is the one I use for like for vlogging or creating all the behind the scenes stuff. It's a 6D Mark II. I got that DSLR in a tripod. Given that I already had a lighting setup, I decided to do the stills with fixed lighting instead of strobe lighting. If I went the route of doing them with strobes, then I'll have to relight the whole scene and test. And two of my strobes don't actually have like an actual fixed light that you can preview what's going to happen. So it would mean that I would have to redo all the lighting, and that probably could have taken me a few hours just to get it all correct and then begin doing photography. So my solution was, instead of doing handheld photos, I would now use the fixed lighting that I was using to create the video to do the stills photos. The setup was already done, so all I needed to do was put a tripod and shoot at slower shutter speed. The way you would go to achieve this would be to have a remote trigger or put the camera in timer mode, so you press the shutter and let the camera go and the camera takes the photo a few seconds after. Why? Because the lighting that I have, it's not actually set up to do normal photography. It might be a bit weak to get a proper exposure. The way you get around that, less light being in the scene, is to shoot for longer periods of time. So longer shutter speeds in your DSLR would give you a correct exposure. Also, I want to shoot my scenes with the least amount of noise possible. So my ISO was kept to the minimum that the 6D could do, 100, and that's it. To get a proper exposure, I was actually shooting 1/13 of a second at f4 at 100 millimeters, ISO 100. So that's actually very long exposure time. So you can't touch the camera. If you touch the camera, your shot will be blurry. So I am using this remote trigger, and that's how I got all the shots that you see right now. Okay, that's it for today. Hopefully some of you stick till the end and you got to see those cool photos. It was a bit longer than usual, but I think it was worth it. I had a lot of fun doing it. I made a few mistakes, but I left them in there so you would not have to make the same mistakes I did. I'm only learning just like you guys, so if I had a resource like this when I was starting out, I would have saved a lot of time. So thanks for watching. Like the video if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hopefully some of you learned something today. Catch you next time.